CO, Halito, what up, guys?
Hey, there's no more. What's going on with you, cuz?
Oh, nothing much. Enjoying this good weather Sunday. What's
I
going
like to
on with
say
you?
peace to everybody that's in the chat and peace to those who actually joining us this the internet around the world. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna get the truth here. We ain't gonna bullshit you. That's not our job. You know. Yeah, but first, Nat, how was your week in weekend, cuz?
Mhm. It's been interesting, I would say. But I'm excited that we are here. This is along the lines of the last 2 weeks. We are focusing on the Yvmvse and the Seminole. Um, and this is I don't know if y'all gonna be able to find this book, but this is a good reference for those who like book references. So the Yvmvse Indians from Florida to South Carolina by Denise I. Bossy.
And there are many other books as well, you know. Good evening, cousin LaShawn. How you doing, baby?
Peace, cousin Lashonda. Yeah, I was trying to pull this other book up, but where'd it go? There's a couple people in the chat. Later, if anybody wants to join our Sunday panel discussion, I'll share the link so y'all can join the conversation.
Right.
Uh, we've been talking about the Yvmvse Seminole Wars, the last two podcasts. So I'm gonna pass the talking stick to my cuz, the expert, and locate some sources.
Yeah. Let me turn this down because I know be having somebody calling my phone with the bullshit.
Yeah, we ban haters.
Hmm.
We always have block party in this block party.
Right. But yeah, but that war just didn't start with the Yamasi War. There was actually a war that was before that, and it just was continuously a war in the southeast. You know, and it just trickled down to the last war, which became known as the Third Seminole War. So that's what they basically um, was dealing with, you know, dealing with the Spanish and the French and the Dutch and the British, and they all have records of it. You know, even there was a partner that told General President Andrew Jackson it's not an Indian war, it's a Negro war.
Right.
You know, shut up, Dungeon. So let's deal with that. You know, he said it's not an Indian war, it's a Negro war. So now you gotta ask the question: when did the Indian become a Negro?
Right.
see if I can find it quick.
Yeah, because we shared this book last time. Creek or Muskogee Indians. With this being the Yvmvse and later Seminole Wars, the Creek. We shared this book last time. So that's a good book source for y'all. Another one. Peace to everybody tuning in. I see some more people coming on in. So big.
I'm gonna send you this link right here, cause
Or you can pull it up and I'll just share your screen.
Okay. Okay, this one I'll do. Hey, wonderful storm, how you doing? You got it, cuz?
Let me see. Yeah.
You know, they would say from the summer to the winter of 1835, black Seminoles and Seminole leaders worked to recruit enslaved people in St. Augustine plantations and build up arms of southwest Florida coast to resist removal. Convert and recruitment, the ties between people enslaved in the field and the black Seminoles. Right? Yaha Hojo, a Seminole warrior chief affiliated with the head chief Mapi, black advisor Abraham, and the black Seminole leader John Caesar, and second hand to King Philip. All right, was most responsible for the enlightenment drive, and Caesar, a very influential and intelligent black Seminole sub chief, was commissioned by chiefs to the plantation on the St. John's region to hold within the um, inducement of the Negroes to join them. As the black Seminole leaders secretly moved among the enslaved population, they endeavored to succeed them from the allegiance to their owners, the promise of liberty and plunder. A military officer reported that the presence of black Seminoles tampering with the Negroes on the sugar plantation, right, encouraged Webster's. The first Seminole in maroon and salt was being planned. See, and that's what people don't understand. They keep talking about, oh, there was no Africans, there was no African slave trade. Well, how you want to get people?
You have to speak up because I can hear them sirens or in the background. They louder than you.
Oh, oh, I'm inside. But
Now you louder.
yeah, they were saying about the first Seminole in maroon assault, right? So dealing with that, this was basically letting them know when they went head on and told Andrew Jackson, this is not an Indian war, this is a Negro war, right? But as you can see right here, when you go further down, they say the whole frontier may be laid waste by um, the combination of the Indians, the Indian Negroes. See, like the Indian Negroes and the Negroes on the plantation. So they let you know the combination of the Indians, the Indian Negroes, and Negroes on the plantation. So,
Hmm.
so when they say a Negro Indian, that means that either the mama was an Indian and the daddy was a Negro, or vice versa. The dad,
Or
the,
that it
the,
was just dark Indians.
the woman could have been the Negro and the daddy could have been the Indian, vice versa. But it was letting you know, and they say in October 1835, the Clinch reported that the planter feared that the secret and the imposers communication between the refractions of the Indian Negroes and plantation Negroes again in December. He wrote, right? So yeah, y'all see it right here, doing with the information. So yeah. But what's so funny? They keep on saying Negro Indians. But yet, when we went over the um, the website of the Seminole tribe of Florida, they told you who was the core of the Seminole Nation. And then when you go and you look into the congressional records of 1901, they tell you that the Yvmvse was Negroes, right? Because they say there was Negroes and it was pre-Columbus. So if there was pre-Columbus or pre-Columbian, right? And it was Negroes. That means that there was Negroes before the Atlantic slave trade even took place. But most people they miss that part. They be trying to deny that part. But that's funny, right?
Right.
But
Yeah, and it was about the Indian slave trade. Um, yeah.
right, because the thing is, you had the Indian slave trade that happened before the Atlantic slave trade, and within the Indian slave trade, they was being called Negroes in Spain on the auction block. So they was
Yeah.
already Indian Negroes, and that was in the 1500s, y'all. I'm giving y'all a timeline. That was in the early 1500s, like 1520 and 1530. You know,
Right, because they try to just make it about 715 to 1717.
right?
Uh, yeah, and they did even their AI overview tried to break it down and say that the one of the reasons for the Yamasi War was because of the Indian slave trade debts, and exhaustion of resources. Um, and they related to the battle of Salcahatchee.
Yeah, second hatch. Yeah,
Hmm.
which is
Which,
actually a which is actually a Wale town, but they wind up giving it to the Yvmvse.
Yeah, because it said the Yvmvse and their allies.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, this war led to a decline in the Indian slave trade in South Carolina.
Right. And it just wasn't only South Carolina, but it was basically all the Southeast.
Right, and they do say that too.
Right.
It says refuge in Spanish Florida. The Yamasi and other tribes, along with prisoners of war or enslaved people, found refuge in Spanish Florida, later forming the Seminoles.
Right. Yep. That's what wound up happening.
Yeah, it was a violent and bloody war
And that's
because it was getting
and
their
that's and that's something they don't want to talk about. They don't never want to talk about that. Or they don't even much want to make a movie about it.
right. And even that video that I shared about John Horse, how that Caucasian lady, she was like, this should be a movie. That was aired on PBS, and she was like, they should be talking about John Horse and the Seminoles. She said we look at all these other movies like Braveheart and all of that, but that John Horse and the Seminoles should have their own movie that talks about how they fought against slavery, basically to end slavery.
But I think, according to Hollywood, they specifically did that for a reason to show the Indians of the plain Indians going all the way back to the west. They never came on the southeast because that was Negro Indians. They
Exactly.
didn't want to show the Negro Indians.
No, they just want to show the light skinned ones, not the dark skinned ones.
Yeah, yeah, they didn't want to show that. They didn't want to show how the Negroes was Indians. They didn't want to show that because that would have been revealing too much.
Exactly.
Because when you look at it, it's like it's ironic that you have historical records saying that the Spanish and the met black Indians,
Mhm.
which was dealing with the Soto and everything, dealing with his records in the 1530s or the 1540s that he met Negro Indians when he came in West Florida, which became known as Louisiana Territory, you know. But that was a reason why, once again, they didn't want to show that. But just like when you showed last week, when they said that the Choctaw woman or the Choctaws never swamping, you know what I'm saying? So that actually coincides with the Soto had said in his own journals. Even Christopher Columbus, when he said about the Taínos and the Allies, that there was Indian Negroes.
Yes.
The term Seminole is very new. It's like 1800 new.
Yes, it is. I wish I could share this book, but I can't share it. It won't let me do it.
Yeah, I told you that.
I know, but I know what I'm gonna have to do. I'll just have to get it ready for another one.
Right, nephew. Right.
Peace.
So, so I think Hollywood intentionally done that. You know, but Mario Van Peebles, he was trying to um when he did the movie Patsy, right? When he
That's
did
one
the
of my
movie,
favorites.
yeah, when he did the movie Patsy and everything, and yeah, you're right, nephew. Um, when they did um Patsy and then they had an Indian movie with the gentleman Roundtree. I forgot his first name, but
Oh,
Roundtree. He was huh?
yeah, Richard Roundtree.
Yeah, Richard Roundtree. You
Mhm.
know, and he was an Indian in the movie. Most people don't know that he wore all black. And that movie was like what from the 70s, 60s or 70s. You think
Yeah,
you can pull that screen up, cuz the little see what you talking about?
you pull it up. You got the screen.
Let me see something. You say Richard Roundtree, right?
Yeah, and then I do have some pages from um the Yvmvse Indians from Florida to South Carolina. I do have some pages. Especially the chapter about at least one page about the long Yvmvse War.
That came right there.
Why you looking for that? I'll post this. Yeah, they just show this. I was trying to get to the part that was before the 1700s, but this page that they're allowed to show just starts at the 1700s. Mm, mm,
Okay, let's see.
Found it.
I found something. Hopefully this is it. And hopefully then
As long as
there they go.
oh, you got it. Okay. I'm glad we can't hear it or mute it because we ain't getting no copyright strike. Long as they ain't doing no weak shit, because I don't like showing that weak shit. So is that him in the suit with the gun, or that was him running? Cause was that him running, or that's him right there?
Yeah, yeah. You're doing well, look you yourself.
Peace, nephew. Yeah, see stuff like this, unless they outright say it or show him, people don't get it. Like unless they show him in his regalia or he's speaking in his indigenous language, it just looks like, even though they don't focus on it was an Indian slave trade first, people don't get it and it looks crazy. So in this movie, he was they highlight his indigenous heritage. Huh,
But look
cuz
at his uniform though. Look at his uniform.
you don't got on no
Because I
uniform.
know the Buffalo Soldiers is Indian.
Yes, I get that. Okay, so in this movie he was a Buffalo Soldier.
That'll be how he have on the uniform. Well, this probably says it's a Yankee uniform or the Union uniform. But the Union uniform and the Buffalo Soldier uniform is the same uniform.
Okay, so I'm gonna put a context with this. Okay, so he's dressed as a Buffalo Soldier. So This is a depiction of uh, the Seminole Indian scouts um, that did help the Buffalo Soldiers during the Plains
You know,
War.
you see what he said? You saw what he said? He said that makes us blood brothers. You
No,
heard what he said, huh?
it's a
He said, I
copyright
guess that
thing.
make us blood brothers.
You can't hear it. Yeah, we can only see the images because it's a copyright thing. Even though I did place our disclaimer, we can't hear nothing that they saying. Yeah, I don't know what's the name of this movie, cuz.
Well, the name of the movie is well,
So he was dressed like this in the movie. But this is what he's supposed to be representing. That clip that we just saw, we couldn't hear, but we just saw
Charlie
it.
One Eye.
Huh?
Yeah, his name. The name of the movie is called Charlie One Eye.
Oh, Charlie One Eye. Okay.
Yeah, and it took place actually going in the West, as always. Hey, what's going on, Chico? What's going on, family?
Peace, Chico. Yeah. So when they
Yeah,
have these,
that was said in the 1600s. Nephew, yeah, because they was saying it was running then. Yep, that's what the Spanish said. Yep.
yeah. So just show y'all a visual, and this is gonna be a short a short podcast today because my cuz got some things to do. Um, but we did want to finish this
Yeah.
so we can always build on this. We a lot of our podcasts are gonna be about the Yvmvse, the Seminole, all the southeastern tribes, the
Yep.
Choctaw. So if y'all new to our channel, the bulk of our guest and material is gonna be about the southeastern indigenous tribes.
Yeah, because that's something how all the southeastern states, where you had all the southeastern Indians that became known as Negroes. Even in certain records, they called them Negroes. But yet the people don't remember their traditional stories. Just like I was talking to my nephew this morning. What people don't fail to realize is when one was put into bondage or slavery or whatever we want to call it, they never forgot who they were. Y'all act like when people was put in slavery that they had amnesia, and that's far from the truth.
Right.
Because you was put in bondage and slavery, that don't mean you didn't know your story, right? You even had like this woman, she was an Indian, and they enslaved her, and she had to prove that she was an Indian, and she had other Indians to prove that she was an Indian. She had children, and they let her and her children go because they said that if the woman is an Indian free, the child is free, and that was in the Virginia laws.
Okay.
So fucking prove that she was an Indian because of her community. The people knew who she was. And guess what? They didn't have no motherfucking CDIB card. They wasn't federally recognized. There was none of that shit. It was the community that recognized her as being the Indian because she said it. And they were like, yeah, she Indian. I'm gonna see if I can find that, and we'll talk about that next week because they actually use that in case law. You know, so don't think people in them forgot who the fuck they was because they was in slavery.
Right.
Because there's not an ass whipping in the world that can make you forget who the fuck you is. And after seeing Rodney King, may he rest in peace, the way how they whipped his ass with a motherfucking billy club, he still knew that he was Rodney King. And they beat him with a billy club. How many officers it was? It was about 10 officers that whipped him with a billy club and busted beside his head. And he still know who the fuck he was. So you
Right.
so you think a 10-inch cat nine whip is gonna make a motherfucker forget who they was? Now which one you prefer to get beat with? A billy club or with a motherfucking whip to make you forget? Because as I said, a billy club has metal inside of it. That's worse than the motherfucking cattail whip. So you think people will say, oh, even with the movie Roots, they whipped him as many times as they want. But when he got amongst his people that he thought was his people, my name is Kunta Kinte. I'm a Mandingo Ashanti warrior.
And the woman said, she was like, "No, I'm what did she say? She wasn't no
My
Mandingo."
mammy and my pappy and them not from no Africa. They from here. Now
Right,
you
right.
stop all that African talk. But that right there let you know that Kizzy, who was their daughter that they had, was a mixed breed. Because when you look at the new roots, they let you know that Kizzy mama was Cherokee.
Yeah, exactly.
So she was Cherokee. So Kizzy's father was a Mandinka warrior or Mandy from the Ashanti, and her mama was Cherokee. So they would let you know that she was an admixture. But people in them overlooked that.
Right.
Anytime Fitler was talking to them and saying, oh, you see this man here? Oh, you never seen this man before. He's a Guinea man. He's from Africa. And everybody looking at him like, okay, he not like us. you know. But yeah, you had a lot of mating between the two. Of course, when they're on the same plantation, you're gonna have a lot of mating going. You know, that's how you wind up having Negro Indians, if you so called. See, and that's only at that time. But nobody want to talk about when trading was going on way before the Europeans and them even had boats to come across. But that's a whole nother story. Anybody got any questions? And even in South Carolina laws, It says that any Indian free or not free who are at enmity with the government will be deemed as extinct. And that's in the South Carolina Negro Act laws. So y'all can go look that up. I gave y'all a reference. So y'all can go look that up. So nobody don't have no questions. Put the link in to see if anybody want to come on the link before we close. Well, you got to remember at that time, what was considered as the Carolinas. That's a question that you need to look up. What did the Carolinas became split? It became North Carolina and South Carolina. You got to ask yourself that question. Because before it became known as South Carolina and North Carolina, it was called the Carolinas, and the Carolinas was dealing with the Caribbean islands, coming all the way to which became known as Louisiana, and that's in the early 1700s.
So you got these two books too, The Indian Slave Trade by Alan Gallay. And then Indian Slavery in Colonial Times Within the Present Limits of the United States.
Yep, that's when they did the split. We got the link in the chat just in case if anybody want to come and join us right quick within the last minutes of the podcast. And then to be called a Seminole is is an injustice anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because that's an action. That's an action. You was a runaway, which was running away from. You know, which is a blanketed term.
This is law of 1543 to end slavery in Spanish America.
You got something right there about 1745. You got Indian slavery in colonial times. See, people don't want to talk about that. They think it just was Africans. They brought the Africans over because we was fighting their asses back. You know, like, oh no, we can't be having this shit.
So this is a good book if you want to know about the Indian slave trade.
Can you find in there where they refer to the Indians as Negroes in that book, cuz? Oh, 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 okay.
It just says it is the purpose of this study to bring to light a neglected phase of early American history, the enslavement of Indians, the extensiveness of Negro slavery in comparison with Indian slavery, and so emphasize the former. That in the study of the institution in general, the existence of Indian slavery during the colonial period has almost entirely been lost sight of. Uh, but see here, they do some separating too.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the dark skinned Indians in Indian slavery. It says Negroes and other slaves. And Negroes without specification of Indian slaves as such. They they play around with the terms and shit, but
Right,
so dodge the hijack, y'all.
right.
And then this other book too. Oh, they tried to give you a limited view of this one. They don't want to give give you all the pages of this one.
Mm.
This other one. This one they let us look at this one, Indian slavery and colonial times. But this one over here, they don't let you look at all the pages on this one. The Indian slave trade. There's some shit in there.
One love, indeed.
Who is that? Who is Moten Gator?
I don't know, but they gave us love, so give us love right back. One love.
Peace. How do you pronounce your name? We can't hear you.
Unmute yourself.
Molten Gator.
Okay. Peace to you.
Same, peace to you.
Peace.
The reason I came up because I had just happened to come in on your show, and the guy was actually repeating the law that I was looking for the past 2 or 3 weeks. I was looking under Virginia law and North Carolina law. He read it from South Carolina law, and I was like, wow, I didn't get there yet. South Carolina law about the Indians who are not in amity.
Yeah.
With this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking for that particular law. In the back chat, I put 2 chronological links of chronology of the laws. I know a lot of people like the books and stuff. Personally, I like just looking at the exact law and see what the law actually read, not some interpretation. You know what I mean? Just go to
Yes.
right to the actual law and read, because they
Yes.
didn't even bring in, a lot of stuff like that. And they use their terminology from that time, because then you can see how they started changing things through the laws.
Yeah. I
Okay.
did see this one that you shared. Colonial Virginia laws related to slavery. 1670, 1682. And what was the other one? Because this is dealing with Virginia. Let me see. Let me look at the other one. Let me. Let me see. This one is okay. This one is the birth of Jim Crow. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let me
The
see.
thing I'm saying about it, though, is it actually lists the laws and the date of the laws and the language of the actual laws. Like I was watching a video today where a woman was saying the same thing relatively, that they just came up with the term white people after they got here. And,
Right.
they lost. But she was saying stuff like, oh, and they had so many Africans, enslaved Africans. And the paper don't say none of that. The actual laws don't say those words, though. African, it don't, you know what I mean? It says certain things. And by the actual language of the law, we could actually
Yeah.
see what they were saying instead of taking somebody's interpretation, trying to modernize the terminologies.
Right.
Right.
The language of the law and the letter of the law.
Yeah. Because they meant exactly what they said, like that Indians without amity. And they said that everybody can be arrested if they not with
Right.
a cracker. I mean, a Christian. They say everybody can be arrested and taken as a slave, and then all of
Right.
that slavery. The first part of the paper the links I just gave you, they let you know right away that the place was using what they call the locals. They call them locals. They were using the locals as they were taking them as slaves. That's why they had so many rebellions and stuff. And not rebellions, but it was actually wars. People were warring with them. But they like to
Right.
minimize it with terminology like rebellion, like a child rebels against his
Right.
parent or something.
Meant to minimize it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that in because this is the first time I was able to come up on your thing, and I wanted to bring something that might be useful. So I
Okay.
Well,
appreciate
thank
you.
you very much. Thank you
Yeah,
very
we
much. Good to see.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Peace. Yes, thank you.
Gonna be cheap. Thank you.
Yes, right on.
Anybody else want to come on?
Oh, y'all quiet today.
Okay, um, well, we already already into an hour already.
Yeah, did anybody else want to come on in? This is a kind of lightweight show. We was kind of going hard last week, so y'all can check out that one. That one from last week too. Um, yeah, this one and what was the other one? In this book right here. Indian slavery and colonial time. So those are 3 books that we mentioned. The first one was where was it at? What is wrong with you? Are you all right?
Oh, I'm gravy, baby.
the the Yvmvse War from Florida to South Carolina was another book too, a good book source. So this is like the third podcast that we have done in lines with the Yvmvse Seminole Wars. So this is just the residue, but y'all can check out the last 2 podcasts and refer to those. But this chapter that they allow us to look at in this book, I have this book, but I can't pull it up on my screen, so I looked it up online. The Yvmvse War from Florida to South Carolina. But this just starts in 1715, the massacre of the South Carolinians at Yvmvse town of Taligo on April 15, 1715 has been unambiguously recognized as the beginning of the Yvmvse War. In contrast, the war's end point remains difficult to identify with a similar precision. South Carolina's restoration of peace with the Creeks in 1717, along with John Palmer's 1728 raid against Yvmvse's near St. Augustine, are commonly cited as final acts. But what of the violence that persisted for decades more? While some South Carolinians may have been eager to declare the war terminated as early as 1716, Indian peoples like the Yvmvses experienced no such decisive moment of closure. Rather, conflict remained a persistent feature of Yvmvse life, thereby requiring us to take a longer view of the war bearing their name. uh, Divisive from the start among natives who fought against the South Carolinians. The necessity for native communities redefine their alliance commitments with regional European powers gradually widen this breach further, particularly as the British extended their settlements southward into the debatable land that became Georgia. One result was a decades long war of attrition between Yvmvses, particularly those who live near St. Augustine, and certain groups of Creeks and their British allies. Yvmvse Creek conflict, in fact, was one of the war's most durable legacies, making it plausible that the war did not so much conclude as gradually burn out following the War of Jenkins' ear. Uh,
Nephew, you can come on, nephew. You made it back from the party. Come on, nephew. Yeah,
yeah,
and
this
Molten
was
Gator,
kind of
come on.
oral. between entire Indian nations, but rather the kind of reciprocal small-scale warfare between clans and towns, rooted in Southeastern kinship systems. And
And
they
what most
stop here because they don't go to the next page. They only let us look at a little bit of it. But this is
and
a
what
good,
most people and what
yeah.
most people don't know is that the West Indies didn't only extend it from the south of Virginia to Trinidad, but it also came over here to Louisiana. Most people don't know that because at one time Louisiana was also known as the West Indies. That's a jewel that I dropped right there.
Yeah, somebody else said that too. And they gave a source. Uh Cootie Marrow, he spoke on that. But yeah,
Yep.
that's
But,
I agree.
but actually, they have a map that shows that dealing with the
Hmm.
West Indies. Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to have all that on my old computer until it got burnt out. How the fuck that happened? I don't know.
Yeah, that's another channel that gives good book sources. And our nephew's channel, he gives good book sources too.
Wale Origin. Yes.
Wildlife Origins.
We still waiting on motherfuckers to come at us.
Mhm. Yeah, and shout out to our new relations that joined us today. Montagator shares
Don't
some
make it your last
gems.
time. I'm glad you
Yeah,
stumbled across us. And
yeah. You can
why?
visit anytime, any Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Cause next week is our anniversary, huh? Or
Yep.
the Sunday afterwards.
No, the 20. No, it's not on the Sunday. It's it's actually the 21st. The spring
The winter
equinox.
solstice. Yeah, I mean the spring. Yeah, I see the winter solstice. I didn't mean to say that. The spring solstice.
Yeah, it's Friday.
It's Friday. We coming on Friday?
Yeah, we're coming on for an hour.
Coming on hour of power. Nephew, you can come on, yeah, nephew. Nephew got the book.
Oh, he do. Yeah,
That's why
because
I'm waiting for him.
I got it on my laptop, but I can't pull it up on the screen and share it with y'all. But I
No,
got it
you,
on my
no, you
laptop.
can't pull it up. You can't pull it up. that was actually codified to where you can't post it. How many weeks you say I've been giving information out? You say 50 something weeks? 50 something Sundays?
We've been on here 52 weeks.
52 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we did miss a couple of Sundays, but um we did do like some shows like in the beginning because we used to do Saturdays. Sundays is actually better, so we did switch to Sundays. But we did some Saturdays, and a couple of times we did like a special day for
Yeah.
special guests, maybe at least two special guests. But Sundays is our official day. But yep, and technically 52 Sundays. So Friday, we'll just be on here for an hour. I want to say 30 minutes to an hour just to pop in, just to, if y'all want to come and, say hey. It will be our Southeastern Talking Stick Podcast anniversary, 1 year anniversary.
Nephew, you coming on? You got to put the link up there again, cuz, to see if nephew will come on. That's the link. If you want to come on in.
Oh, here he is. Peace, nephew.
Hey, your nephew.
Let me.
Hiyoko, greetings. What's going on, everybody?
My Colonial, the cool. What's going on with you, baby?
All is well. Hey, Auntie. What's good? I'm just getting back in.
Hey, nephew.
Did you eat good? Did you eat good?
Of course. Of course. I just want to thank y'all for the great work that y'all doing. Especially
Oh,
on this.
same to you.
Because the topic is like it's so vast, right? So it definitely would take 3 weeks, and maybe even 4 to cover the bases. And y'all definitely doing a great job doing that. So I want to thank y'all for that.
We thank you.
Let's go. Thank you. You welcome.
Why hold your cookie? Show him his cheek.
But yeah, man, it's because see what people don't fail to realize that it just didn't stop with the Yvmvse war. That's dealing with the English, but we've been fighting since the 1500s, starting with the Wale, and everything carried over. You know, because that's funny how they said that the Wale was extinct, and then they turn around and say that, oh, the Wale is the Yvmvse, and then they turn around and say that the Yvmvse extinct, and then they turn around and say that the Yvmvse is the Creek or the Seminoles. But yet, every time you said that we was extinct, you always renamed us. How?
Right. Like they keep renaming melanated people.
Right.
We was Indian, then we was Negro, then we was colored, then we was all of these things. But you notice what came first? Indian.
Every decade.
Yeah.
But we know why. Outside of cultural references, it definitely had to do a lot with skin color, right? Um,
Right.
and then that chapter that the auntie was reading, the opening of that chapter, chapter 7. Um, chapter 6 in that book is very important because I know you always talking about admixture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Chapter 6 in that book is titled Yvmvse African Ties, Carolina and Florida. So, while there are a lot of people who like to deny admixture, or a lot of people who like to deny the fact that some people from Africa were brought over here, that book also details the relationship that they had. So that's another reason for people to get that book so they can see um how these people share it with each other, right? Like I spoke in the Blue Fire Spiritual Diplomacy. So there was a form of camaraderie between these different groups of people, which eventually created the Seminole identity. So I think that's another reason people should grab that book.
And not only grab that book, but also get the Blue Fire and the Green Fire. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes,
And
yes.
that will circumvent everything that is that y'all need to know, basically, dealing with the Southeast.
Yeah.
Because we actually found the pieces of the puzzles from other people, and plus our story. It was like, oh, there you go. Now we know who was who and who was at that different time and everything, and who did what and when and why and where and how come. You know what I'm saying? And I want to put it out there. The reason why that they called the Lenape the First Nation, because it was not the First Nation. It was the first nation to actually do the treaties with the Paleface or the Europeans
Right.
or the Europeans. That's the reason why they became known as the First Nation, because they was the first ones to do the treaties. Because how could they be the first nation when they came here and they already had nations here already? You got to think about that, people.
Okay.
Because the first people that was here, they call them what? They call it Snake Island. So these was the people of Snake Island. So they was the first people, First Nations. And that was before those that came, they called it Turtle Island. And most people don't know this was called Snake Island before it was called Turtle Island.
Right.
The invaders was the ones that came and called it Turtle Island.
Yeah. Yes.
Isn't it ironic that even dealing with St. Patrick's Day, right? Wow. Which will be tomorrow, the 17th. Didn't they have a problem with snakes too? But the snakes was the Negroes that they was running out of Ireland.
Interesting.
Isn't that something? That's something how they call all the Negro snakes. And they had to destroy the snakes. What's happening, Mike Dave? What's going on with you? That's something to think about. They had to
Yeah.
destroy it because the people of Ireland, the indigenous people, they was called snakes. And they say St. Patrick's was running the snakes out of Ireland. Well, who was the snakes? That was the Negro inhabitants. Isn't that some shit? Wow. Damn, nephew.
Yeah.
Shit that make you go,
Mm-hmm. And nephew, we gotta have you back on so you can read some more excerpts of your book to the people.
Right.
I'm free every Sunday. Just let me know. Let me know what y'all looking for, and I focus on that. That way I can do it. And then
Well, we can deal with the war in the 1500s and the 1600s. We can bring that all the way up to the Yvmvse War of 1715.
okay, say less.
Yeah, so we can do that next week, next Sunday.
Okay.
Say less. So I'll go over the different so-called Wale uprisings. Basically how I did today when I explained that the original Wale uprising, or that which they call it, 1596, even though it happened in 79 and 1520 and all of that, that which is best documented was a political ruse, right? It was a way for Spanish or the Castilians to use other Wale and use other groups of people to take down the actual nation. I know people may do research or have done research, and they believe that the uprising started because a leader could have multiple wives, but that's furthest from the truth. He was somebody that wasn't giving in to colonial pressures.
Right.
Wasn't giving in to colonial pressures. A majority of the blood rulers of the Iba'a were murdered at the hands of the Castilians and other indigenous people who eventually moved into the Carolinas, Georgia. So these original people were replaced by people called the Wale. and those people replaced with another people. I'd definitely love to do that, Bill. Because what people will hear. So I'll just make this the commercial, right? So
Yeah.
what a lot of you will hear is a lot of names that you are used to today, that deals with the Confederacy are originally Wale. And if you read the Yamasee Indians, Florida to South Carolina, like on page 284, it'll tell you the majority of the Wale joined the Yamasee Confederacy. So a lot of the names you hear during the Confederacy time, a lot of those towns that you hear from the Confederacy existed in the 1500s and were already at war with the crown. So you will
Right.
be able to see that this war that happened in 1715 just had a new name, a new face, and
Right.
different allies that eventually came into the interior and coastal lands for whatever reason, right? Maybe they were being enslaved, maybe they were invaders, but eventually all these people um, came together to combat um, European pressures. And uh, so be ready for that. Towns like Potocaligo, Ospo, Tolamato, all of those towns that you're used to hearing, you'll see that they have ancient lineages that were eventually replaced with puppet governments. So
Right.
everybody be ready and be prepared for that. Because I'm gonna take you through a whole bloodline. I'll make it about one person and use this to prove the point.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. So
that'll be good for next Sunday. I did want to say something to Monton Gator. He was talking about that's my 12 times great grandfather, Chief Wera Wants, which is Chief Ope Chinkana. That's my 12 times great grandfather. And he was talking about Great Chief running string. I did put a note in the chat. I don't know if he's still here or not, but I did put that in there. But yeah, y'all tune in next Sunday. Wale Origins. We'll be reading excerpts from some of his books. The Green Fire. Is that in the Green Fire or the Blue Fire?
That's actually in the Blue Fire, but what I'm gonna do is tie it in
Okay.
to the Yamasi Indians, Florida to South Carolina. And also the Yamasee War by William Ramsey, as it explains that during the Yamasee War, the Wali and Yamasee were the majority of them were classified as Negroes because of what they had done to Europeans. So there was a change in percentage of Indians and Negroes on the plantation in 1715.
right.
So that's something to be talked about also.
Yeah, good shit. Yeah.
As always. As always.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And that'll bring it on home.
Well, with that being said, we always say we save the best for last. That's you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all come next week. Have your smartphones to take notes. Have your pen and paper. Have your laptop. Have your what they call that? Your tablet. All that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
crazy. You do something that nobody is not giving y'all. Y'all got people out there talking about America is Egypt and Utah is Judah and all the rest of that biblical bullshit that they want to use. You know, you dealing with traditionalists right here. So, yeah, you
Yeah.
know,
So y'all meet us here next Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're gonna have Wale Origins on here, featuring his one of his books, The Blue Fire. And Friday we just doing a pop in real quick because that's Southeastern Talking Stick Podcast 1 year anniversary on the spring equinox. So y'all can
y'all
join us.
come in and see how y'all
Yes.
enjoyed us and everything, and what was your favorite show. You know what I'm saying? I like to hear that shit. You heard
Yeah.
me? But yeah. So with that being said and done, we'll do a pop-up Friday, 6:30, and then we see you on the regular day Sunday with my nephew Wally Oranges. So we'll holler at y'all. Peace.
Yes, y'all. See y'all. Peace.